Back in 2019, the world got introduced to one of the deadliest pandemics in its entire history. COVID-19 did not only claim the lives of millions, but also created a sense of fear, uncertainty, and disrupted the entire world order we are used to. Just when everyone thought that the pandemic was over, a new and deadlier strain has emerged, putting the entire world at risk yet again. While the population is still at risk, the American big pharma cannot seem to satisfy its hunger for more profit despite knowing the inefficacy of their star vaccines. Anyways, the West has now started to realize that the savior is not going to be from the West itself, but from India. Let me tell you how. Hi and welcome, you're watching TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Piyush, and in this video I will tell you why Covaxin is the only saving grace for the US and Europe. Let's begin. After a new deadly and rather contagious variant of coronavirus was reported by the scientists in South Africa, the world has gone into a crisis aversion mode once again. The WHO on Friday designated SARS-CoV-2 variant B11529 as a variant of concern and named it Omicron. The entire continent of Europe, which was already seeing a huge influx of positive cases along with the United States of America, has been caught off guard. The one thing common in both continents is that they have been big proponents of the mRNA vaccine, Pfizer to be specific. And it appears that their rather subservient attitude towards the big pharmaceutical giants is making them pay dearly. Straight off the bat, the two mRNA vaccines are incredibly expensive, which the poor Americans or Europeans cannot afford. Forget the supposed third world countries of Africa or Asia. Moreover, the mRNA vaccines and their manufacturing parent companies have earned no fans for their shadowy practices. They have inserted dictatorial clauses in contracts to shrug off any responsibility for the adverse effects of the vaccine and have openly falsified the data. As reported extensively by TFI, the British Medical Journal or BMJ recently published an investigative report titled COVID-19 Researcher Blows the Whistle on Data Integrity Issues in Pfizer's Vaccine Trial, which raises some really serious questions regarding the Pfizer vaccine trial data. As per the BMJ, Brooke Jackson, who was employed at the research organization Ventavia Research Group, alleged that Pfizer falsified data, unblinded patients, employed inadequately trained vaccinators, and was also slow in responding to adverse incidents reported in Pfizer's pivotal phase 3 trial. Recent research by Western Reserve University and Brown University has revealed that COVID-19 antibodies produced by the Pfizer vaccine decreased more than 80% in senior nursing home residents and their caregivers within 6 months after receiving their second dose. Earlier this month, France's Public Health Authority, casting aspirations over the efficacy of the Moderna COVID vaccine, recommended that people under 30 should not get jabbed with the US-developed vaccine. Meanwhile, a German newspaper named Berliner Zeitung has insinuated that the deluge of heart-related problems in professional athletes across the globe could be a potentially harmful side effect of mRNA-based vaccines. In an article on American Bazaar written by Craig Snyder, says that Covaxin is the best vaccine out there, but is unfortunately not available to Americans. Many people in USA are refusing to take the mRNA vaccines, but they don't agree with being called anti-vaxxers. They just want a choice beyond mRNA vaccines, a choice that Covaxin provides. Unfortunately, it is only the mRNA vaccines of Pfizer and Moderna that have been so far shoved down the throats of common Americans. The Bharat Biotech developed vaccine can help countries like the US win over their vaccine hesitant populace, which can help them beat the variants like Omicron. Covaxin has been manufactured using a live virus, that is, using a manufacturing process that has been used in childhood vaccines for polio and other diseases for decades. Succinctly put, Covaxin is the best vaccine out there to address the hesitancy of millions of Americans with respect to mRNA vaccines. Moreover, the efficacy of Covaxin is unrivaled. Compared to other publicly available data, it shows the best neutralization titers against variants of concern, Delta and Beta, and even outperforms on those measures compared with people previously infected with the original COVID-19 strain. Immediately after receiving a much delayed emergency use authorization approval from the WHO, even the highly dubious medical journal Lancet had stated that the Made in India vaccine is 77.8% effective against symptomatic COVID-19 infections, as demonstrated by the phase 3 data. The efficacy data demonstrated 70.8% protection against all variants of SARS-CoV-2 virus. More importantly, the vaccine showed 93.4% efficacy in severe symptomatic cases. The medical journal added that no severe vaccine-related deaths or adverse events were recorded during the randomized trials. When we talk about the cost of vaccines, Moderna costs around $32 to $37, while Bharat Biotech's Covaxin costs merely $3 to $5. When we talk about compatibility, Covaxin is more storage-friendly than other vaccines. For instance, Pfizer needs to be kept in extremely cold temperatures of minus 70 degrees Celsius, the cost of which may go into billions, whereas Covaxin requires 2 to 8 degrees Celsius cold chain, which is much more viable for warm, developing and underdeveloped nations. The new virus strain has been detected in South Africa, Hong Kong, Israel and Botswana, and it wouldn't be a hyperbole to suggest that it could have already entered North America and Europe. Speaking about the deadliness of the variant, WHO has remarked Omicron's actual risks are not understood yet, but early evidence suggests it carries an increased risk of reinfection compared with other highly transmissible variants. Ahead of the busy festival season in the West, the European countries are pondering going into lockdown mode for the umpteenth time, which will in turn affect the global economy. Only if these countries had gotten rid of their racist blinkers and allowed vaccines like Covaxin, the situation would not have turned so dire.